We're now joined by Sakhumzi Somyo, who is chair of the Standing Committee on Auditor-General. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us. What were your thoughts about this? Is this not an indictment? You heard the Auditor-General say nobody really knows what happened to about 5.5 billion rand in funds that flowed from the 22 worst-run municipalities in South Africa in a year.
Well, good evening to your viewers. We're pleased to be part of your program. Indeed, it's a very shocking result. Though we would anticipate such outcomes when you would know the capacity of various administrative levels, which permeates the entirety of operations in our municipalities, generally in the country.
When you talk about capacity, are you talking about the expertise and skills that staff the municipalities, and can we really lay it at the feet of that, or is the problem just a little bit deeper than that?
Well, it's deeper than that because capacity is used broadly in this instance, because you would look at your administration, you look into political capability, because you must, what you apply in terms of administrative practice, you must be able to oversee, and those who oversee such operations must even themselves possess a particular level of capacity to be able to scrutinize such functionalities. And you go to the level of saying that determinants as well are those who send those people to be part of such a both operational and political environment.
I mean, for me, it's quite concerning, and I'd imagine for you too, to hear that, municipalities received on average 6.49 billion rand in funds from national government in the 2019-20 year, but that at the end of that period, just 1 billion rand was left in their bank accounts, and it is unknown what happened to that. That some of those municipalities didn't even submit their financials.
It's unbearable, the list, because you can't have municipalities who are supposed to procure services, to get into transactions, and such transactions can be backed up by necessary documentation when they have to account. It tells you quite a lot that indeed, capacity-wise, we have a serious problem. You can't even trace the actual performance of such, because there's little that you could find in terms of the detail as to what is carried through in such instances. It's really somewhat very shocking, to say the least. And as I said initially to yourself, is that it bodes towards the fact that the requisite capacity that you don't have internally, you then would want to somewhat back up. That's why you would see such exorbitant pricing in as far as consultants are concerned, who themselves provide outcomes which are not of value, as the Auditor-General has indicated.
We'll get to the consultants, because this is also not a new thing that has been continually discouraged by the Auditor-General's office, including Ms. Maluleke's predecessor. The question is, what is Parliament doing? What oversight role is it playing? Because this is not new, that the municipalities are in relative chaos, especially the ones that have been mentioned. The Northwest, for instance, I believe of those 22 municipalities have been mentioned, that 7 are there, 4 in Mpumalanga, 4 in KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape as well, 2 in the Northern Cape and 1 in the Western Cape. There's a Free State that has been a problem. What is Parliament doing about this? These findings are not new. The lack of capacity that you talk about, the previous Auditor-General, Kimi Makwetu, used to talk about just wanton behavior, flouting of the responsibilities of these municipalities. We know that there's underspending. This is also a perennial problem. People don't get services.
Well, we flagged those elements, and we went through a number of provinces where we had to meet some of those municipalities who are on the list of non-performance. And meeting those municipalities Thereafter, we met with a provincial leadership, whether the premier of that province or the MEC of the province, to highlight such perennial instances of unbearable outcomes which are there on site, even for them to have a look to attest to those instances. What is disappointing currently is the fact that those who are supposed to take administrative decisions on those matters are somewhat disappointing in terms of acting in that regard.
How are you holding them to account?
Well, our scope of getting them accountable is making a call for the actual presence of them within the influence and scope of ensuring that the administrative controls at the municipal level, the ethical conduct which is desired, and as well the question of a sound performance is put in place. As Parliament, we highlight those instances to them, and then we await their own.
Mr. Somyo, do you not think that the public would think that that in itself is not enough? You're a representative of the people. The fact that you mentioned it, 105 million rand was spent on outside consultants to help these municipalities fix their books. Shouldn't more be done? You play an oversight role, so to flag it and to note it, should you not be using more influence than that?
No, we do. We do. For example, we have engaged a number of institutions, which some of such amounts are the amounts which are indicative of the fact that in the till there might be many hands, in action there might be diminishing hands, and therefore we must somewhat ensure that those who are involved, even as other agencies, are somewhat brought in to make thorough investigation and be able to deal with those specific matters which are somewhat experienced at that level.
Well, thank you so much.
The Auditor-General herself has indicated that. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your time. Sakhumzi Somyo is the Chair, Standing Committee on the Auditor-General.